Hey there, Colonials. Welcome back to Quickly Colonial. It's a new year, and I decided to try a new tea. It's a new herbal tea. This is orange zest, and or orange and spice. And I don't know. I might keep going with it. We'll see. Anyway, my dear Colonials, I want to thank you for coming along on these adventures with us during 2025. It has been so fun. I absolutely love history myself, and I love going on adventures, and I love sharing that history as well. Um, um, it is always something fun, something new. There have been lots of places this past year that we've gone to that I've never been to before, and then there's also places that, my old haunts that I absolutely love. I love going to Mount Vernon. I go there as often as I can. I love the sites in DC and the surrounding area. I love Colonial Williamsburg. I've been there several times, and all the little places along the way. Another one that I've been to many times, and I love the people there. You want to meet some really awesome people. Check out Fort LeBoeuf in Erie, Pennsylvania, just outside of Erie and Waterford, Pennsylvania. My goodness, what an amazing group of people, and some really nice people that are so very welcoming. So to Fort LeBoeuf, all of you there, thank you so much. We had so much fun this year, and don't worry, we'll be back. Um, Along with our adventures, I get so many chances and opportunities to go behind the scenes. We've been to some of the forts, we've been to some of these museums, and I've been able to speak and study with the curators. I've been able to touch the artifacts with my own hands, and my goodness, what an experience that is. I have my own some very small, humble collection of Revolutionary War artifacts, colonial artifacts that we've shared in many of our videos. I have some dice from the colonial era, from the Stamp Act. I have some playing cards. I have some coins, musket balls dug up from Yorktown, um, from the battlefield at Yorktown. Those very humble, very little things. To be honest with you, everything that I own from those little artifacts, I don't even think would add up to $100, maybe $200 worth of artifacts. But somebody touched those. Somebody during that time period that lived to see those things and see those events. Somebody lived that life, and somebody touched those, and that's amazing to me, to be able to go to these places, to walk in their footsteps, to be in the same room, and sometimes like at Mount Vernon, to see George Washington study, to see his chairs, to see the bed that he slept in, to see his carriage in for lack of a better term, his garage out back. um, what an opportunity to be able to go and see those things. That's why I do this. It's very selfish of me. I absolutely love this history, and to be able to find these things. And what I love even more than that is to share it with others. And that's the whole purpose of this channel. That's the only reason I do these videos, is because I get so excited about these things that I have to share it with somebody. And so that's why I invite you along on these adventures with me. Um, we have so much fun, and so thank you for that. This is the long version video of the top 5 videos from 2025. I did a shorter version that's on the shorts. If you go to our Facebook page or our YouTube channel, it's under the shorts. But this is the long video, and kind of go into a little bit deeper detail of what went on behind the scenes with each of these, and what the adventure really was like behind the camera and whenever the camera wasn't on. The top 5, we're going to start with number 5. The number 5 was the pilgrimage, I call it, or the flats of the Connoquenessing. I have done several videos at this spot. But I go there every year. As I said in this year's video, in the 2025 video, I call it my pilgrimage. I go there every year, and I have so for about the last 15 years now. And it's a little bit of a trek, but I absolutely love being there. That's a place where I know for sure that Washington was. And as we did a few of the other videos near like Harmony, Pennsylvania, whenever we went to the ice cream shop and things like that, that was right where it's assumed to be where Murdering Town was. And so these are real places. These people really were there, and we can walk literally in their footsteps. And that's just so amazing to me. It's a wonderful place to go, and I love going there every year. This year, there's a little bit of a trail. They've put in like a hiking trail close to the Connoquenessing Creek at this spot. It's actually a canoe launch where I do that video from, and it's the Major Washington canoe launch. And because at the time, whenever he was shot at right there, he was a major in the Virginia militia. So yeah, they have like this hiking trail that you can go on now, and it's short. It's maybe a mile long, but it's so neat to be able to go through there and literally be in those swampy areas exactly where he was walking. And it's a lot of fun. So if you have a chance, it's Forward Township, Pennsylvania. It's on Route 68 as you're coming up from Pittsburgh, and you'll hit a town called Evans City and headed north. And so if you just follow 68 up, eventually you'll hit that area. And yeah, look for the flats of the Connoquenessing. So number 4 was funeral spoons or mourning spoons. I had heard from my grandmother years and years ago, "Oh, honey, don't use that spoon. That was from so-and-so's funeral." And even to this day, I don't know whatever happened to the spoon. I don't know whose funeral it was from, because we didn't do that in modern day, and I talked to my mom about it, and she says, "No, I've never been to a funeral where they had those." So that spoon was evidently very, very old. It could have been one of her grandparents or great grandparents. I don't know. But I remembered that story. I remembered, "Oh, honey, don't touch that spoon." And so I wanted to dig deeper into that. What is this? What's a funeral spoon? And sure enough, it came from our colonial times. And as I said in the short, and I'll include it in this video too, every antique store that I went to, I love going antiquing. And every antique store that I went to this year, I found a funeral spoon somewhere in some of their displays or for sale or whatnot. Every single one. So they're prevalent everywhere, and lots of museums have them too. Number 3 was the superstitions about the first snowfall of the season. That was a cold one. I had been wanting to do that, and I thought, here we go. It's the official first snowfall in our area. I've got to go out while the snow is clean, while it's fresh. And my gosh, that was a cold day. It was right about 0. And we had been out all day, trompsing through the woods, and my nose was cold, my hands were cold. In that video, we hear about one of the superstitions that they had is they would put babies, if there was a baby in the family, they would stick their feet or their toes in that fresh snow, and they thought that it would keep the croup away throughout the cold season. I don't know if that's true. I never did that, and I wasn't about to try. So I used my hands. I did rub my hands with it as you saw in the video, and that was cold enough for me. I put my gloves back on right away. But that was a fun video. It's so cold. It's blustery. The wind is blowing, but I'll tell you, the Pennsylvania woods, my gosh, it's absolutely beautiful. And any time of the year, whether it's in the summertime, the wintertime, whatever, it was absolutely beautiful. And I really, really enjoyed that one. It was cold, but I enjoyed it. Number 2 was the very important and expensive Christmas present, or the flintlock. Imagine getting a flintlock for Christmas. I would love that. I've always had to buy my own. But yeah, the importance of the flintlock in these people's lives, we kind of take it for granted a lot of times. in our modern day. Um, I remember my grandfather telling me that whenever he was 10 years old, he grew up on a farm, and his dad had some health problems. So he, being the eldest son, he pretty much had to take care of things. And his dad struggled with alcoholism and stuff like that. And this would have been back in 1920. My grandfather was 10 years old in 1920 in the backwoods of Pennsylvania. And I remember him telling me he was 10 years old, and one day a week they would choose a day. I don't know what day of the week it was, but one day of the week his mother would send him with a little purse of money and a shopping list, and it was his job to go to town. And from where their farm was, it was about 8 to 9 miles into town on a dirt road. At 10 years old, he took the flatback wagon so that he could haul supplies and things like that. And he would hitch up the horse with a flatback wagon and take a shotgun with him. And that's how he got back and forth to town at 10 years old. And so the thought process of a flintlock being so important to these people's lives, my grandfather at 10 years old carried a shotgun. I can't imagine why it would be any different 200 years before that. Our predecessors. Um, One of the things that I saw in the movie The Patriot, these kids, they already knew how to use these flintlocks, and it was a part of their everyday life. Sometimes they'd go hunting for dinner. Sometimes they would go and just patrol the woods for, oh man, we lost 10 chickens today. There must be a coyote out here or a fox. And so it was a way of life for them. And I loved the opportunity I had at Fort Pitt this summer, and as well as my opportunity at Fort Le Boeuf this summer to go and see some of these flintlocks that were authentic from this time period. Brown Besses from the Revolutionary War, and flintlocks from the French and Indian War at Fort Le Boeuf. Wonderful opportunity whenever you can see those things with your own eyes. I encourage you to find these things. Go to museums, go to little outlets, and go to antique stores and see if you can see these things with your own eyes. It'll make the story and the history so much more meaningful whenever you see these things. The number one top video of the year was, I was surprised by this one. I really was. It was a quick video. I was driving home from work one day and I thought, hey, I'm going to jump out here and do a quick video. But it was walking through the woods in the late fall and what you should and should not do. And, if you hear your name being called or if you hear whistling, don't acknowledge it. And these were superstitions. Don't look into the woods. If you're on a road and there's woods around, don't look into them. And these widely held superstitions that are still alive in a lot of areas along Appalachia and the Alleghenies. You go down into the deeper parts of the Alleghenies and things like that, and those storylines and those warnings are still very much alive today. I was surprised by this one. It was the least popular video of the year, and that was the chapel ghost. That was a really quick video I did. I was doing some reading and some studying, and the chapel ghost, even to this modern day, I don't know if they do it in our hometown, but where the printing presses are, they call that a chapel. And the reason they call it a chapel is because some of the original printers, they had no place to print them, and so they would literally set them up in a church in the chapel to print these papers off. And so if some of the words were misspelled and punctuation was wrong, it must have been the fault of the chapel ghost fooling with the equipment. And so I was surprised that one didn't do very well, but it was still fun. It was a fun video to film, and it was neat to be a part of. My dear Colonials, my all-time favorite video that I went on an adventure with you this year. I actually had two favorite videos. In the short, I mention it, and so I'll mention it here too. I loved the wreath laying ceremony at Mount Vernon. That was really, really meaningful to me. As many of you know, if you've been with us watching the channel, Washington is my ultimate hero, and to be able to be at his tomb and to lay a wreath at his tomb and be there to to be a part of that and to show reverence and express my thanks to him. That was a really meaningful experience. And the other one that I really liked was Fort LeBoeuf. We had a lot of fun there. We were able to spend a wonderful, wonderful day. The guys up there, they gave us a wonderful tour, and we got the VIP treatment whenever we went there. We really did. If you get a chance to, right across the street is the only statue in the entire United States, the only statue of George Washington in a British uniform. And so if you get a chance to go to Waterford, Pennsylvania, and it's just outside of Erie, Pennsylvania, and you can find your way to Fort LeBoeuf and to the Fort LeBoeuf Museum. The Fort LeBoeuf Historical Society is right across the street from there. The Eagle restaurant and hotel is right across the street from there and right beside the memorial where the statue of George Washington is. So if you have a chance to go and check these places out, man, I highly, highly encourage you to do so. And wherever you live, whether you're in the United States or you're anywhere in the world, if you watch our videos, I would encourage you to go in your own hometowns. Study, go to the local library, go to the local historical society, and see what I guarantee you will have tons and tons of history right in your own backyard. And that's what's so fun for me. Every week I'm on a new adventure trying to find more history in my own backyard. Speaking of backyards, like here you go, history in your own backyard. We were doing some yard work a couple years ago, and I was using a shovel and digging in the dirt, and I found a clay pipe in my own backyard. That's absolutely amazing to me. that out in the middle of nowhere, that I would find a clay pipe digging in my backyard. And so there you have it. Like, history is literally in your backyard. My dear colonials, go and find it. Go on an adventure. Find that and share it. Share it with somebody that doesn't know about it. And keep that fire burning and that fire going. My dear colonials, I cannot wait for 2026 and all the adventures we're going to go on. I love being with you. My dear colonials, I'll see you soon. Cheers.